Derek.
Hey, Trey.
It's episode 58 of the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast. It's also celebration week for the Schaefer family because you and the lovely Brianna get to be Sans children for the week.
It's kind of peaceful around the house.
Yeah, hey, it's time to go spend some time with Grandma, go visit the relatives in Pennsylvania, and let Mom and Dad just hang out. So congratulations for that. And it's been a busy couple weeks, and it's Thursday. We've had storms. We've had, which we needed. I don't think anybody's complaining. If you're complaining that it's been raining in Florida, shame on you.
Yeah, we definitely needed it.
And it's just late in the week, but we're gonna recap roughly a little bit of the Colorado National, which that track is just awesome. We're gonna highlight a little bit of High Point. The semis are already ready to go into staging today. I saw a picture of them all hanging out. I think they were at West Virginia, University of West Virginia, hanging out. And we're going to talk a lot about the Loretta Lynn's regional. You and Caleb went up to and gave it a go, and the positive, the negative, and where you go from here, because all of it's a growing experience.
Yeah, it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
We'll definitely dig into it.
So let's dive in. I know we cover the motocross nationals, we cover supercross. With the birth of 827 MX, we're going to touch a lot on that process of what it looks like to attempt to become a pro. But let's highlight the pros a little bit. I know your race watching was not up to what you would consider good to cover a race, but you can say this. We had a first-time moto winner. We had some repeat winners. We had some excitement in the 250 class, which, it's always exciting. And then Jet, with the injuries that he has, still went out and did enough to win the overall. So we'll touch on 250s a little bit. I think I've said this, maybe this is episode 58, and I may have said this 42 times. Deegan's damn good.
Yeah.
He's good.
I mean, there, as much as I hate to say it, there's no doubt about it. The kid can ride. There's still talent in him, as much of a little prick as he can be.
Yeah. And I know we'll go more media on this. The media wants personalities. The fans want personalities. We get a kid with a personality and we start digging on him. Well, people hated Dennis Rodman. People don't like Westbrook. They don't like who's the beard, the basketball player. They don't like those people, but they serve a purpose in the industry that they're in. Well, Deegan, we're going to dig on him. We want the personalities. We may not like the personality. We want the personality. It gives us something to root against or talk about, or I'm not going to root against Deegan. I think the kid's really good. Yep. But just someone put on X this week, I wish he just wouldn't talk.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty brutally honest. It is. Yeah. He just shut up and race.
Yeah, just go ride. Yeah. And it's amazing. Vial was not going after him. I don't know if you got to see any highlights. Vial put it on the inside. Vial was not going to hit him. Like, he was not going to hit him. He crashed.
The only thing that I seen from the race, we actually ran and got food, and Caleb showed me the results of the 450 class. Like, that is all that I seen from this race, because we were so focused on what we were doing. But my fantasy picks were not what the results were. So, I mean, that's what I know. It's wild.
Well, Deegan did what Deegan needed to do to get the overall. Vial's a real threat. He's good. He's good. He's just, it's basically watching someone with a chisel carve the David, or someone with a hammer carving the David. Yeah. And Vial is the chisel, and Deegan is the hammer. And it's fine. It's going to make some great racing, and we're going to throw in a la the Chance Hymas getting his first moto win.
Isn't it wild to say that Deegan is better than Tom Vial at outdoors, but Tom Vial was better than Deegan at Supercross.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like,
Really weird.
I was thinking about that the other day. I'm
Yeah,
like, this is totally ass backwards.
yeah. But it was good racing. The track they did not I think they were anticipating weather, so they didn't disc the track up. So there was a lot of room to move. There were the ruts in the corners, but there were not the typical Colorado. You start this downhill in a rut, and you get to the corner in the rut, and you leave the corner in the rut. It was a little more free. Um, but the 250 class is exciting. It's going to stay exciting. Um, Deegan's good. Vial's good. Chance Hymas just rolled away. And by the way, congratulations to Chance for having such a good fan club. Jet and Hunter both went out and watched him win that second moto.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the funny thing is, the cynical side of me says, these guys are so damn brilliant with their marketing.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they go out and watch? Because the cameras are going to pan to them. They're excited watching him. It just like, oh my God, look at these guys. They're going out to watch one of their factory riders ride, get his first win. It's yes, and that's maybe the cynical side. Maybe they're just really that damn nice that they went out and watched.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's really good for marketing to go out and watch your teammate.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt.
No.
It's kind of part of it. I mean, that's what they should be doing. You're still a team in a way. I mean,
But
it looks good on them for sure.
so the 250s, in a nutshell, that was the 250s. Savachi is having really good rides. If you look through the passes made, Savachi must be leading the point. If they gave points for passes made, Savachi would be destroying everybody.
Mm-hmm.
God dang it, man. Stop crashing in the first corner.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Joey Savachi is, at one point in time, he was one of the fastest guys on the track. He took a lot of time off from, there were some headaches with mental stuff, teams. So for him to come back and still ride the way he is it's pretty incredible. He actually lives in Claremont.
Yeah, and ironically, he's trained by the guy that killed him to win a Supercross title.
Yeah,
which is ironic in itself.
Yeah, it's all motocross is kind of like a
90210.
Yeah, like a drama TV series,
soap opera.
But for some, I mean, it seems to work out in the end.
Ferry. I mean, we're touching on these things that we've talked about frequently. There's something going on with Evan Ferry. He went down in the first moto. He was in the 20s in the first, he was in the 20s in the first moto. Went down, I think, in the second moto, in that crash. Swole's still having a good run of it, but man, the upper part of the 250 class is a lot of fun to watch. So that's it. That's all I have for the 250s.
Yeah.
450s. Jet coming off this injury, which we're finding out may be more severe than they're saying, that if he does some more damage to the shoulder, he may not be able to finish the season. He did take a piece of his leg out. He still gets the overall.
I mean, he's an animal.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's just an absolute animal. He's a different breed. If he gets taken out, that's gonna be an issue, because I still think he'd come back just as strong, but he's gonna have to take a lot of time off. So I bet he would lose some of that momentum that he's carrying. I mean, most guys, amateur, pro, if they have to take any kind of time off, it's a setback. So I'd be anxious to see how that pans out.
Hunter had a good weekend. It is just crazy to me that there are two brothers in the same class who are that good. Like, Robbie Wageman and RJ Wageman ride together, and I think it's Robbie is the better of them.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm and James, the brothers. James was the better one. Like Tedesco brothers, Ivan was the better one. Like there's just these, Daniel Blair and his brother. Daniel was the one that got more.
Mm-hmm.
Jet is the one getting more, but dude, Hunter's right there.
Yeah, when it comes to outdoors, I mean, when you train and learn from each other, just because Jet's younger, you would automatically think that Hunter's the better one. Um, Desi talks about it a lot that Jet should be the better one
Yeah.
because he's been through the process, seen the mistakes. But either way, they're still training and learning from each other consistently. I mean, it's a nonstop thing. So when you got one of the brothers that's top tier, it shouldn't be long before the next one's right there when they're training and doing the exact same thing consistently.
Now Hunter, we are learning, and I think we all knew this. He's really good, but he is way more calculating and kind of studies things more. Where Jet will just go do it.
Yeah, and two totally different riding
Yeah.
styles, which is it's the body builds because Jet's much bigger than Hunter, tall wise. But if you look at them, their riding styles are totally different.
Yeah.
I mean the bike movements are close to the same, but the body language is far different from the other.
But Honda has another good weekend. Chase Sexton, we thought was going to come in, capitalize on his 1-1, and dude, that move that he, I don't know if he over thought his potential, over analyzed him trying to cut off, jump that little mound, slide to the outside. He just went down again, and
Mm.
it's not the front end, it's not the bike, and here's my thing. Okay, forget Chase Sexton. He's fine. Can we stop blaming everything on a motorcycle? Can we just say sometimes there are just things that happen?
Let's put this into perspective. The last race, Chase would lay that bike over midair and move himself to keep. He would land with the bike pretty much laid over
Yeah,
and still go. It's not a bike problem because if you can do that physically, if you can literally land with a bike pretty much laid over and be able to correct it when you're letting it all hang out like that, it's not a bike problem.
yeah.
At that point, it's all either mental and or rider error that you're going down because he should have went down 100 times in the last race the way
Yeah.
that when he went all beast mode. So I don't at this point you can't blame it on the bike. You've seen what that bike can handle. I think you don't want to say it's fatigue because they get fatigued, but not really.
Right.
Um, but it might be some kind of mental fatigue that lets him wreck the way that he does. It's
But that crash was pretty big. Bike did land on him. Um, but he was going for it. I mean, I can't fault him. He's going for it.
mm-hmm.
But it it's not just him that they say it's the bike problem. Dude, sometimes stuff just happens. Like the
Yeah,
Deacon crash at Hangtown. He got kicked. Like,
yeah,
I don't care what kind of suspension, unless you have a suspension that will not defies like the laws of physics and just sucks to the ground.
yeah. There are some wrecks that you cannot avoid.
Yeah,
Like you get helicoptered like that. That's the bike fighting back.
yeah.
It's these bikes go through a severe amount of stress, and they're doing things that they're meant to do, but they get to a point that they're not meant to do. Some of these braking bumps get so big that the suspension can't take anymore.
Well, this weekend, Chase's accident. He went into the corner hard inside, was trying to jump the mound, block the outside, and he just crashed. I'm sure there's a technical term for the compression of the suspension, the rebound, and but the bike would have to have been perfect for that spot. The problem is there's a 1.2 mile motocross track with downhills, uphills, different kind of ruts, big jumps. If it's only perfect for that spot and that's where he wanted to pull that off, he wouldn't have been able to do it 9/10 of a mile before because the bike wouldn't have been set up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, there's just, man, we're human.
Yeah.
They're very good and they know they're very good. And sometimes they look at something. Jet trying to jump the triple last weekend after he had been clearing it in practice. Sometimes we just go, I'll give it a go. And it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, put the average person out there just for one lap on a track like that, and and f- get the feel of what it's actually like for these guys to go at the pace that they go.
Yeah,
And I think more people would understand just how gnarly the entire sport is, and what the bikes go through, and what they go through.
that's a perfect segue. Jason Crowley was over at the house this weekend, and he came over to pick some stuff up, and he was watching the race while we were watching it. We were watching it live, and
Mm-hmm.
he, we all get kind of locked in, and he ended up staying, and he's like, "Oh my god, what is that? What was that?"
I don't know.
But he's watching it, and we started laughing, and he's like, "Dude, look at these guys banging into the ruts, and they keep going." And like he says, when we race, if we see a rut like that, most of the time we're avoiding that rut. And he's like, these guys are diving into the ruts full acceleration.
Yeah.
And so the perspective is completely understood. We get it. But the average rider isn't looking at that rut going, "Oh yeah, I want to rail this and
Yeah.
jump out of it." Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, Jason was even like, I don't, because I asked him, I'm like, "Hey, what would your lap time be about around this track?" Because he's a decent rider. Like, he's a decent rider. I'm like, well, he goes, "I don't want to ride it."
Yeah.
He's like, first of all those ruts that they're going in to make the corner, I would be trying to go to the inside or the outside because our bikes would disappear in those things.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we think completely different than those guys. They're in this rut and they're like, and we're like, "Oh no, we're gonna go to the outside of this one and skip it."
Yeah.
And
Try to get away from that rut, but
yeah,
that main line's huge, and they're diving right
yeah.
for it.
So I guess the point of that is we see these guys make mistakes, and we talk about bike setup. And at some point, the talent, as talented as they are, they overthink what they possibly can do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened to Chase this weekend. It was just a simple mistake. It was a big mistake, but a simple mistake.
Yeah.
Um, but I know you didn't get to watch, but the 450 racing was good because Jet was having to come from back. He wasn't the leader, and when he caught Hunter in the first moto, Hunter kind of pulled him, and that was it. Jet couldn't do anything, or Jet didn't want to do anything, or it was kind of one of those like, hey, I'm just kind of
Mm,
I'm got to protect myself.
yeah.
And then he comes out in the second moto and is like, all right, I got this, I'm good. But that was kind of the highlights from Colorado. Everybody loaded up and started the process of heading east. We're going to High Point this weekend, which is one of the classic motocross tracks.
Yeah. And High Point can definitely turn into a gnarly track.
Yeah,
Um, been there, done that.
yeah,
It's
that's your area.
stomping grounds. It's a wicked track. When it breaks down like crazy. And some of the jumps there are just nuts. They just held that regional there, and we got to talk to some of the guys that raced it this weekend, and they're like, dude, I've never rode a track like that. It's freaking nuts.
Yeah,
So, like I said, been there, done that. It's a wild track. Um, I know some of the guys from the regional. There was a video circulating around that there's a big downhill. It's not supposed to be a triple, but one of the regional guys was trying to hit it, and they ended up landing on the water truck road. I don't know if you've seen that video.
no,
Guy hit it. Have you ever heard of Slowy Films?
I don't think so.
So Slowy Films, they're a big like YouTube,
Okay,
but it was one of those guys that tried to hit it, I believe, or one of the Slowy Films guys is pro. I can't remember the name. It doesn't matter. But anyway, one of the at the Loretta Lynn's regional, they hit this thing and just soared. And what it does, you're downhill floating, and the guy literally floated off the track.
oh,
I'm gonna bring it up for you after this. It's wild, but he landed on the water truck road. How he landed it, I have no idea. But it was the Slowy Films guy because Levi Kitchen commented on his video, and he's like, "I'm railing that thing this weekend." So I'm really anxious to see that.
how they if they change it, like
That
maybe the crew's like, we're gonna roll this.
Well, Levi, like I said, Levi got on there and commented on it. He's like, "I'm gonna hit that triple and show you how to do it." So like, I'm really anxious to see how
Yeah,
he hits that thing because it's literally 5 seconds of downhill hang time.
that's a lot of
I'll
time to
show
think.
it to
That's
you.
a lot of
It's
time to think.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Um, but it's like I said, I'm anxious to watch all that, and some of these 450 guys are going to be doing it. I don't know if Jet. I think Jet's kind of in a little conservative, so he doesn't get injured, but
Yeah.
he's still out there winning.
Oh, by
So
the way, he was 24 points down. He gained 8 points this
yeah,
weekend. He's now only 16 points down.
yeah.
And my thought is if we just keep plowing away, he was not depressed that he was 24 points. He's like, this is going to make it fun.
Yeah.
And if you're always the rabbit, sometimes it's fun being the tortoise and like, hey, I'm going to see if I can catch up.
Oh, he made quite the impact.
Yeah.
So I don't see where there's going to be an issue if he carries on the way he's going. It is cool to see Hunter with the red plate. I
Yeah.
think he kind of does deserve it.
How about this? The red plate with no overalls.
Yeah, and it's cool. Consistency is key.
Yeah.
You go back to the Ryan Dungey.
Yep.
I watched some video of him this weekend, and just talking about his career, and it made me think of like the Hunter,
Yeah.
or in the outdoors. I think we talk. Hunter's going to be there. He might never get an overall, but he's going to be there
Yeah.
to maybe clinch that title when shit goes south. So
And hey, that's the door was open at Hangtown. Now, who's going to take advantage of it? And
mhm.
Sexton did not take advantage of it. Sexton lost points this weekend. And it's like, dude, this is the opportunity that you have to take advantage of. And maybe that's the whole story is who's going to take advantage of the points.
Yeah. And remember, like I said, I truthfully believe Christian Craig was going to get better and better and better. He hit that top 10.
Yeah.
And I truthfully, like I said, week by week, I think he's going to start. He's never going to be a contender,
Okay.
but I do think like I said, he's slowly.
You've opened the door. So 450 Colorado 250 450 talk is now over.
Mm,
Hangtown, 1 o'clock on Peacock. Go watch it. Enjoy classic motocross track from High Point, Pennsylvania. Uh, Christian Craig. Silly season talk. There hasn't been silly season signings but silly season talk. Christian Craig probably not on Husqvarna next year.
yeah.
The rumor is HEP, potential third star bike, maybe Firepower Honda.
Which is wild to me. I mean, he's been a factory rider for how long? And to go to like Firepower, or I don't think he'd be happy. I could see him going back to Star. He did really good on Star before. Um,
But that's the question too is in order for that to happen, that means Justin Cooper has to leave. And oh, by the way, Justin Cooper had a good weekend.
yeah,
He may be the most boring man in motocross, though.
he is. He's there when he's there. He's not when he's not.
But he
He's
was there,
quiet.
and his interviews, and I'm like, oh wow. And think about it, Deegan and Justin Cooper are on the same team, and Justin Cooper is a 450 rider, and I bet you there are people that watch Deegan's channel that have no idea who Justin Cooper is.
Yeah,
He is the most boring. I mean, personality. Ride wise, the dude's good, but there was some talk about that. Let's dive into that. Swanepoel. Swanepoel's program, they're saying, isn't good for 450 riders. Because if you look at Justin Cooper, why can he not hold the lead that he has at the end of these motos?
mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
because
know, man.
he can pull a hole shot. He can ride. I mean, he can gap.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and then dies at the end.
But is he dying? Is he really dying? Like
I
we would
mean,
have to dive into lap times and
yeah,
see. And is he really dying?
those guys are probably that much faster, but I don't know. It's such a weird topic with him.
Or do we just have to have a topic to talk about? Do we have to bust on Swanepoel because Cooper had to go back to Baker's factory and And Swanepoel with the 250 team, they're amazing, but none of the top 450 guys train with Swanepoel. And it's like, or is it just he doesn't have that base to work? All the guys he's going against, they're either super talented or they have 17 years of base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so many factors. I don't know.
So, but that was it. But the Christian Craig thing is interesting. Um, I I don't know who does Husqvarna bring on. Is RJ going to jump up? Are they looking at bringing a different rider on?
I don't think you're going to see RJ move up.
You think he's going to defend?
I don't. I mean, it took him this long to get that title. You think? Yeah, I mean, you'd think at some point you'd want to get off of a 250, but maybe you're so damn comfortable at this point that
Yeah.
why move up? I don't. I don't know.
I know the big ones are Jet has to resign with Honda because I can't imagine Honda letting him go. They had them at the Honda factory in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't imagine Honda, but Honda has done weirder things in the past.
Yeah.
So that would be weird. That would be really weird. Jet chases on KTM. Eli's, I guess, depends on what Eli wants to do. If Eli says, "Hey, I'm done now,"
Yeah.
he could be done. Um, Cooper Webb, I don't think he's done yet.
No.
Kenny, we don't know what Kenny's going to do.
I I don't see Kenny calling it quits.
AP's already re-signed. We know there's an opening at Kawasaki, but from what we're hearing, it's Prado,
Mm-hmm.
which is that's so weird to me.
Yep.
Uh, Jason Anderson, Barsha. I guess Barsha has a 2-year contract, but Barsha's been. By the way, I don't know what they've done to that gas, but Barsha seems happy right now.
I I truthfully think like it's an outdoor bike. I don't think they have their bearings on Supercross,
Yeah,
and I think that Barsha's an outdoor guy as it is. He's good at Supercross if the bike is right, but I truthfully think that's look at the muck off bikes, totally backwards.
yeah,
I think it's the same thing for gas on this new bike. All the changes that they made, it's an outdoor bike, and I think that bike has been catered to outdoors from design. Um, it's hard to design these bikes around Supercross.
yeah,
So, they got to make so many changes. Like I said, I truthfully think that bike is an outdoor bike, and you put Justin Barsha on it and outdoors, it's going to perform. Where Supercross, it lacks for sure. But if anybody can make the changes and make the bike right, it's Barsha. I mean, that's the one guy that's going to put that bike through hell.
yeah.
So, I
But
I think it's a good mix of both.
I think silly season, where I think we'll have a clearer picture from that break when after Washougal they take that break, do Loretta Lynn's. I think you'll start seeing pieces start falling in. I
Yeah.
know they can't sign contracts and all that stuff, but I think you'll start seeing pieces fall into
Hmm.
place here soon. But that's about it for the pro side. Now let's go to the I'm trying to be pro side. And you and Caleb went to the famous Echeconnee motocross track this last weekend for Loretta Lynn's Southeast Regional, and it was tough. Talk
It
to
it
us.
was tough. So yeah, we showed up at Echeconnee Thursday night. Practice on Friday. We knew it was going to be a challenge. I think I truthfully think Caleb had in his mind that it wasn't going to be as hard as it was. Um, but I looked at him and I told him you're racing the fastest upcoming pro riders in the region. We're not a Dade City.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hell. Um, we're showing up on a stock bike too. Like you got to remember that the suspension is gonna kick your ass. So practice Friday wasn't the best. Uh, he went out. I will tell you that facility is beautiful. Um, track is awesome. We walked the track Thursday night, and I'm like, dude, this I would love to ride this track. Like, but then as I watched it break down on Friday so quickly, it's like a Dade City consistency, but more sugar sand.
okay.
Um, that track prides himself on the best dirt in the South, and I totally disagree. Caleb disagreed as well. It literally turned into sugar sand. The ruts were gnarly. I mean, it was an outdoor track, an outdoor national. Um, we got to watch. I kind of did a lot of watching on Friday, how his bike was reacting, how he was reacting. He'd come back and his forearms were just rocks. And we made some suspension changes after Friday. Pro Action was there, and we what did we do? Finished out the. I gotta watch what I say. You never know who's gonna listen. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter now. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So he's 250 Pro Sport. We made some suspension changes, and we snuck him out there in 450 or Open Pro Sport to try to test out the changes. It helped a little bit, but we literally went out there on stock clickers, and we did click them down a little bit softer, a little bit harder on the front end, changed the fork height. But like I told him, the suspension was brutal. I do think he got fatigued really easy. I ended up calling Ashley Harris, Shred MX Conditioning. I'm like, listen, this is what we got going on. He's extremely fatigued. They're our nutrition and fitness sponsor. They've taken over all that, and obviously he's just started this program like a month ago, so it's hard to really gain anything
Yeah.
at that point. But she gave me some pointers, and eating strawberries and this and that, and I don't want to give all of our secret stuff away that she does, but we followed the program. His riding was a lot better, but Friday was rough. Moto One was Saturday. We went out, and the whole shot was not good. He's also not used to a downhill hole shot to like a kind of slightly up cambered turn. The elevation was a little bit different for him. Ended up 18th out of Moto 1. He actually was fighting top 10 out of the whole shot. Came around, I think, 11th in the on the first lap. It kind of gave him a really, really good perspective of what he's dealing with,
Yeah.
the competition he's dealing with. Um, Avery Long was there. Avery Long is a very fast rider. And but anyway, we got our bearings in Moto One. He understood what he's dealing with. Got a good idea of the track conditions. Caleb's one to figure out a track very quickly, which is what you have to do in this sport. We've had talks about
Yeah.
this before. Um, so Caleb was. We walked the track. We found lines that might be different from what everybody else is going to do, and he's very good at doing something that nobody else is going to do, or finding that one line that nobody's going to do. So they had a table, kind of like a step up triple, and then it was more like a wall jump in a way, but they had two rollers afterwards. Caleb's like, I think I can double in and then single out, and this is all on a turn. So you literally had to double uphill to hit this little roller as the double, and then roll the next one to a straight downhill. Um, so Friday he did go out, and it was either Friday or Saturday. I can't remember in Moto One or practice that he hit that double uphill into the roller, and then it was such butter. He hit this double and rolled that roller, and there was four other guys right there, smoked them all. He's like, that's the line. So we did that. He ended up going out and doing that in Moto One. So he did do that in practice. He went out in Moto One, couldn't make it happen. Like the way the track broke down is so hard. Um, but he ended up hitting that, and I think ended up bouncing off track because he hit it and couldn't pull the turn, and pretty much doubled out over the track off to the third roller. Um, but anyway, jumping into Sunday, it was Moto 3 to start Sunday, so they ended the day at like 5-6 o'clock Saturday night. Um, we were Moto 3, so to wake up, eat, get prepared. It was hard, and the track was already brutal at that point. We skipped practice on Sunday just to prepare. Um, Came out of the hole like fifth in Moto 2, which was awesome. Held it for 2-3 laps, and then ended up falling off, and ended up 16th overall. The big talk was Moto. There was quite a few crashes, but the big talk was Moto 3, not just for us, for everybody. So like I said, that Avery Long came out and he pulled a 1-1 in Moto 1 and 2. Half of the field in Moto 3 either did not start or did not finish.
Yeah.
Um, we came out of the hole. It was a bad hole in Moto 3, but he came around the first turn. I just powered through it. We were on a stock bike, and you're talking 250 Pro Sport. A lot of these guys are on factory-ish bikes. Um, we showed up on a stock bike, stock suspension, and kind of we went with the hard hitting mapping, still stock mapping,
Yeah.
but he gets jumped on the hole, and then by the first turn ends up fifth again, and he actually held it down for quite a while. We followed the fitness and nutrition the best that we could because we knew Moto 3 was the last chance. You never know what's going to happen in a 3 moto format, and the guy that Avery Long that went 1-1 actually ends up going down hard. He swapped back and forth, just ate it, barrel rolled that bike at midair, didn't finish the race. And he put it into perspective, guy that goes 1-1 finishes 10th. And this is where I told Caleb, you never know what's going to happen. And I told him on the line. His dad was there. His parents were there. His dad went to the line with him, Moto 1 and 2. And his dad looked at me and he's like, "Listen, you're going to the line, Moto 3. Do work your magic." So I just grabbed his helmet. I'm like, "Listen, man, we got to let it all hang out. This is where we let it all hang out. We do what we got to do. You have nothing to lose at this point." And he rode phenomenal. Um, Ended up third lap. He's still holding like seventh. Everything was looking really, really good. Hits a braking bump, and he truthfully doesn't know if he was not on the pegs right or what. But it was almost an Eli Tomac moment. He's like, I hit that braking bump, and all I heard was I felt a pop. And he come around the track, and I'm watching just guys. I'm like, there's no way he's giving up. That's not Caleb. He's not going to give up like that. The fitness isn't there, but something's wrong.
Yeah.
And there's that section that I told you about, the triple, the uphill. He come down that, hit the tabletop, and I watched him pick up his leg and favorite. Like, shit. Come around it turns into a downhill turn, back uphill, and his leg's up in the air, and guys are just passing him left and right. Comes back down around, which comes across the finish line. He pulls off, and his leg's in the air. Couldn't put weight on it. His dad ran down, and I ended up running down. He's like, he can't put weight on it. He said something popped, so we pretty much told him just go back around, like swing back around the finish line. Don't take a DNF. As soon as you see just sit there. When you see the checkered flag, go up over. And what happened was Avery Long was smoking everybody. He seen Avery Long go by, didn't even pay attention to the flag. He was in such pain. He just went up behind Avery Long. Well, Avery Long pulled off on the white flag. So we took a DNF. We got back. We had to pry his boot off. Could barely get his socks off. Barely get his gear off. Don't know. We truthfully don't know what happened to the foot. He can now put weight on it. I don't know, just like a muscle popped or what happened. But it was quite the adventure. I'm rambling at this point. There's so much to talk about, but it was a learning process for sure.
Yeah.
Now he knows what he needs to work on. He was extremely bummed out.
I think, and I say this, I like Caleb. I know Caleb. I mean, you and I work on stuff together. I think it was an appropriate slap in the face to, like, this isn't, like you said it perfectly. This isn't Dade City anymore.
Yeah.
This is where you want to go. You got to.
Yeah,
do it differently.
and he has the speed. Like he was trailing that Avery Long for how long? It's just no pun intended, but it was how you and that was my point to him. He sat down, he's bummed out, and he looked at me. He's like, "Dude, I'm just it sucks being here all the time and coming so close and just being that short." I'm like, those that short is lessons. You had the speed, you were maintaining with these guys, but mid moto you're slacking off. You're running 8-9 laps
Yeah.
on a brutal track. Dade City, you're running 4.
Yeah.
I said, I mean, and you can vouch for this. I said, look, 2 months ago you couldn't have done this at all.
You couldn't make 3 laps.
I said, look at the progress.
Yeah.
This is going to take time. You're out here with the fastest guys in the region, pulling pace with them. Yes, you slack off at the end, and I told you going into this, your fitness isn't there. It's not there yet. But can you go out and be consistent? Is all that matters. And he did. I mean, it was a consistent 16th, 18th.
Yeah.
But you held pace with these guys for a good 3-4 laps. That should show you that the speed is there. Now you know what you need to work on. Now we know what we need to go back. And I mean, like I told him to begin with, you told me at the start of all of this, your goal is Supercross. Supercross is much easier if you have your pro outdoor card, yes. But now we go back, we focus on minios. We have 5 months, however many months we got to get that fitness and everything you've learned to the point where minios will be no problem. You know, we sent you out there with stock suspension. We've said for weeks we got to get that suspension built, but that's also financially a difficult task because building suspension for essentially a kit suspension is not cheap.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's a good lesson, and it's also at this point he just is getting to the point that it's hard. He goes to Dade City, they run 3-4 laps. The track takes less than a minute. I can guess Echeconnee was a little longer than.
fast guys were about 140.
Yeah. So
An
your
outdoor.
lap time is longer than 2 laps of the race that you normally do on a Saturday night.
And you're running 8 laps.
Yeah, and that's where I was talking to you before about, is the Dade City going there on Saturday night? Is that what he needs to do, or is he need to go to Croom on the sand track and do 30-minute motos?
Ironically, and I'm glad you brought this up because we had this exact discussion, and that's exactly what he said. He's like, so they also know a guy. They call the track Joe's. I don't know the guy personally. It's straight sugar sand track, turn track. He's like, I think it's time for me to bounce outside of the Dade City realm. And I said, even if we go hit Florida Series, like you are bouncing around to different tracks, you're seeing different tracks, you're riding different tracks, you're racing with different riders. Let's. And he's like, well, even going to Croom and bouncing out 30-minute motos. I'm like, that's what's going to help you. Dade's not helping at this point.
Because you can maintain a heart rate.
Yeah.
You can start building, because that base is going to take him a year. I mean, I hate to
Yeah.
say it. That base, he's going to be pissed off until next year, after he's been on this program for a year, building that base where he goes out there and he knows he can go 82% for 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it takes, and it's going to take time.
Yeah, and it's like you said, the slap in the face it taught him what he needs to do,
Yeah.
how he needs to do it. And I was actually, as bummed as we all were, I was so happy to hear him say, like, I think I need to change up my program. I think I need to bounce around.
He needs to go to Dade City and be a what do they call it? An influencer, a patron.
And that's what he is. Like Dade City's the local track, and it's everybody loves him there.
Yeah.
It's great to go out and win and get the fan base that he has. Sign the trophies. That's fun once in a while. To be a pro, we don't need to win a Dade City championship. At my kid's stage, yeah, that's a good building block.
Yep.
But you're going out and you're running a track that's not brutal at all. It can
Yeah.
be, but now you know what an outdoor national track is like at this point, because that's what Echeconnee was.
Well, he goes there, he hangs out, and he once a month maybe goes and does some motos there.
Yeah.
But from this point, let's look this way: Jet and Hunter do their ride day twice in a row there. They don't ride there; they come hang out
Yeah.
because they've already done their training for the day,
Yeah.
and now they're relaxing.
And they're on CRF 125s.
Yes.
And they're out putting around with
Yes.
everybody and doing motos on a CRF, not on a big bike.
Yes. So the the game, you want to play this game, now you got to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's positive. Like Michelle and I were watching the results, we followed along, and I smiled the whole time. And Michelle's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "It's the journey. This is the realization." And there's two choices that get made. This is really hard. I don't think I can do it. I like winning. Or this is really hard. This could be fun. All right, where do we go?
See, and that's what made me smile when he come back as bummed out as he was, and he got the aggravation out of the way real quick. I'm just so sick of coming up short, and straight from that sentence to, I think it's time to move.
Yeah,
It's time to do some other stuff. So it just that drive was not in him a couple months ago.
it's good, and that's good to hear. And that's the stuff that I want to hear moving forward because I want to know that journey because I've I've been through that journey in two different sports, and I understand the growth process and what it takes to go to that next level.
Yeah.
So watching it and commenting on it, I get it, and that's where most people go, "Well, you don't know," and I'm like, I actually do. I actually have been through that process through two different sports. Just because I suck on a motocross bike, which by the way, I have new parts coming for my bike.
Heck yeah.
Just because I suck on a motocross bike doesn't mean I don't understand the process to try to be good on a motocross bike.
Being pro motocross specifically is a lot more than talent.
Yeah.
Like a lot more than talent. Most people know, the mental, physical fatigue is more important than your riding ability. If, like I said, this 250 Pro Sport class, and I'm looking at the results right now, like the way that it ended up in Moto 3, had you just been able to hold on, you could have easily broke a top 10.
Yeah.
Just because the way had your physical ability been better than half of these guys, it was a battle to the end at this point. Like it all came down to fitness. And we got guys here that got pulled in 11th and still got 4th.
Yeah.
A guy Moto 1 got 10th and ended up 5th. I mean, an 8, a 7, and a 5 ends up 6th. It's just consistency, and that all comes down to mental and the fitness.
Well, he got to mark off step number one, and he made a decision after step number one that keeps him going in the direction. You're going to notice, and as the kind of mentor, sponsor, boss, you're going to know if those steps are to the right or to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean this politically. It's like you're either going to keep moving towards the goal, or you're going to step back. Even though you didn't get the results that the team wanted, he made a decision verbally, I'm going to step to the right. Now, as the kind of helper, sponsor, boss, you get to say, okay, now let's see it. If he physically goes and does that step that he verbalized, there's another step to the right. As soon as he decides, oh man, I miss getting trophies, now you're going to make a step to the left.
Yeah.
But sometimes that step to the left may be, I just need to go have some fun.
Yeah, and there's the Dade City aspect for us is the fun. Dade City's never a bad thing to get some gate drops, and
there's been a lot of names that have come from that place.
Yeah, and it is honestly really good that we put new parts on a bike, we do suspension. It's good to go out there and get a feel for all that on a comfortable track. you my thing is for Caleb, and I told him like Dade's not a bad thing because if we do stuff like that, we get new suspension. You know exactly what your bike does on that track. So let's put this suspension on. We got an exhaust coming. We got, the twin flow or twin air.
The cage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got all that coming. So let's get all that on. Um, as we work through the fitness and stuff, let's also, as we work on the bike, we do that at Dade because the bike there, so we can really test the bike at Dade. So these races, the Saturday night races, are good for
yeah,
that aspect of it. That's where we try new things. Um, it's so hard when you go to a regional like this and we're making suspension changes every moto.
yeah.
Like you have no idea how that bike's going to react. It could be bad. It could be good. You don't know until that gate drops, and that's not what we want. We want this bike tested and ready to go, and Dade is a good place for that because we know the repercussions of what's going to happen. So, and you can hold down the 4 laps
Yeah.
and come back and give the insight on how the bike's reacting. So
You'll know his experience. I mean, honestly, a date, if it's literally just for testing, the gate drops, you sit for 10 seconds and you go. And the goal is not to win the race. The goal is you're going to test the bike. If you happen to pass somebody,
yeah,
instead of racing, you're testing. You'll know that process has begun. And I'm saying this verbally out in front. You'll know that process has begun when the next time you guys are at Dade, he's pulled in to Dade with the bike in the back and it's covered in sand because he's been out. He did his motos and now he's coming to hang out and be
yeah,
supportive of the kids that love him.
yeah,
And that's you'll know then like, okay, like I'm still here, I'm hanging out, but I'm done, guys.
yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. And it's like you say, it's a building block. We will get there. Um, heads are hanging. We don't have a ticket with us, but the the lessons learned, the journey along the way, it's all worth it.
It's a process.
We move from here. It's not a big deal.
Well, you both are AMA members, and I happen to be reading the the last magazine that just came in, and I'm looking through all the stuff that's going on. And by the way, there's this pro am section in the back of
hmm
all events that are available for pro ams, and I'm like, oh, this might be something they need to look at.
Yeah, no, we've looked into the pro am stuff, and it's gonna happen. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the way to do it now. It's unless you wait a whole year and shoot for this again, but
there's options.
yeah, but like I said, some pro ams are definitely going to be important. But we are truthfully focused on Supercross, and that's always the dream.
Yeah,
That's always the dream of a pro is to go to Supercross. So whether we get into Supercross futures, we earn the points at Minios to go to Supercross 250, 250 East. Whatever that journey is, if we can, we're building towards that point. So I'm excited. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of bike changes. We really really got to get the sponsors and get that all figured out, and we got to find suspension, whether it be sponsorship or not. That's definitely the next key is the suspension. You learn from a bike. You can make so many clicker adjustments, and if those clicker adjustments aren't working, it's time for suspension.
yeah.
And we we changed that bike 4 times while we were there, and it doesn't work for him. It's when you're that aggressive a rider, you're moving that quickly that you those are out of the box meant for everybody, not out of the box meant for a pro rider. So our big focus is suspension right now. And I truthfully think that's going to help with the fitness a lot. Bad suspension puts a shitload of fatigue on a rider
Yeah.
of that speed. I think we'll make a huge step forward once that suspension is done, and good for him.
Well, I think overall, I mean, I know it wasn't the result that you had hoped for, but it's probably the result you thought about. Like, we're going to see where we are, and it's good. There's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah.
And now he knows the next steps. There's some good talk going on. I'm glad to see he was pissed off. That's also good, but it's also good that he sees a different perspective from it as well.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
agree.
but no, I think I guess he'll recuperate a little bit and kind of figure out the next steps, because basically, I hate to say it, but like right now, the Loretta Lynn's buzz kind of takes over this summer, and then there may be some pro-am stuff available and some different things, but it's once Loretta Lynn's is over in August, you can start tackling the other things.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, speaking of Loretta Lynn's, how many of the guys that were in his class were already qualified through other regionals that came and rode this regional?
So out of the guys that qualified, trying to look here, regionals. So one of them, the guy that took first, uh, did not qualify at Redbud. He tried, ended up 26th and a DNF.
So that means he went to two areas,
Yep.
and now he's gone to two regionals.
Yep. The guy that took second, most of them do multiple.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
But why, if they so was there anybody that qualified that came to the regional?
That's what I'm looking at. So one did two regionals. Yeah. The guy that took third qualified at High Point
Why?
in both classes.
Why do you come to, if you qualify? Is it just getting more race time? Because then that takes
It
he's
takes
already
it takes spots
qualified,
away.
but he's already qualified, so that means the seventh place guy gets to go, right? Or does he choose?
No.
No.
So it's so screwed up to me. Um, if you, I'll use the area for example. Um, you qualify at Gatorback. If you submit your paperwork at WW, even though you already qualified in that class at Gatorback, you can go to WW, submit your MX Sports paperwork. You're qualifying for WW as well. If you specifically go there and say you're not qualifying, they will take you off the qualifying list. But if you don't do that, you take that spot from the next guy.
Oh.
You get first, then that bumps the next guy out.
So does that how they fill in the alternates?
Essentially, I think so. It's I truthfully believe, like, if you qualified once, sure, you want to go and race,
Yeah.
but you don't get the chance to qualify. I mean, it gives you a better. Say you finish, you need sixth, and you finish sixth at Gatorback, and you go and you win WW. I mean, I don't think it doesn't matter for like gate picks or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I truthfully don't get it. It kicks a lot of guys lose because of this.
Yeah.
They lose their chance because of this. So I I think it's dumb. I do think that they should change that. I'm not sure how it all works like that, but they
Yeah, because for the guy that went to High Point and to Echeconnee, who gets to go? The guy from High Point or the guy from Echeconnee? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who
yeah.
who do you choose? Like, well, I'm going to claim my third result, which it doesn't matter because you're drawing spoons at Loretta Lynn's anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like no, this guy did not qualify at High Point. He went to both. So then he came to Echeconnee and he did qualify in Open Pro Sport and 250 Pro Sport.
Okay.
Um, so like that, I understand. Like
Yeah.
you get the chance to
To
do
fix
it
it.
again.
Yeah.
This guy qualified at areas in Open Pro Sport. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ones that did multiple areas,
Okay.
and I'm just trying to go down through them a little bit here just to see.
So
Internet's being slow, but you get the point.
so
Like,
please tell me, Avery Long, who is a factory Yamaha guy, please tell me that he qualified in some other regional, because like for him not to be in Loretta's is a not good situation for his future.
yeah, I'm bringing him up right now. So High Point, he already qualified
Okay,
in both classes.
so this was just a bonus.
Yeah, and he actually at in Open Pro Sport and 250 Pro Sport, he did not. He had DNF, so he ended up 11th and 10th at Echeconnee.
Okay.
But he got a second and a third at High Point, so he already qualified in both classes. So.
Yeah. Because like his future, I mean, he is that next Yamaha guy coming forward.
Yeah.
And it's like for him not to qualify would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, and like I told Caleb, I'm like, look, Avery Long is well known. He's fast. He is very efficient I mean, his fitness is perfect. You're racing guys that live at facilities.
Yeah, and they're doing 2 classes.
Yeah, and so for his first few laps, he would hold the same lap time.
Yeah,
I'm like, if you look at that, you see your progress. That's why I tell you, where the speed's at. You know where your speed is there. Your fitness is nowhere near these guys.
Yeah.
That's why we got Shred MX Conditioning sponsorship. That's what that's for. You've never been on a program like this, and these guys have been on a program their whole life. You just started racing again a year ago. He took 6 years off. So you are literally starting from scratch, but look, you're out there contending with these guys. Like, so you have nothing to be ashamed of.
There is no base. Like, it's okay. Let's get the base, and then we can.
Like I said, 2 months ago, you were nowhere near where you are right now. So,
well, hey, it's a good story. It's a tough story. It's a real story, and I think that's what we're going to cover as we move forward. Obviously, this weekend, no Dade City for the Schaefer family because it's kids are on vacation.
Kids are away for 2 weeks.
So are mom and dad going to get away, or mom and dad going to do a staycation?
I think we're going to work on this pool deck.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, I think for episode 58, we covered some Colorado. We covered exciting racing. We're all shifting. The train is moving east. So everybody's coming to the east for some motocross. We covered the regionals. And you know what? We'll cover High Point next week.
Yeah.
So for Derek Schaefer with DBS Custom Fabrication and Handyman Services, I am Trey Heath with Michelle and Trey Real Estate. Derek is the owner and founder of 827 MX. Together, we make Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast, and this has been episode 58. Y'all have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the racing Saturday, 1 o'clock at High Point. Bye-bye.
See you.